I just wanted to talk about how I've never been able to relate to women or form any kind of relationship with them, whether that be romantic or platonic. And this trend has unsurprisingly carried over to the internet, where according to YouTube analytics, I don't have a single female viewer. The data I'm showing is probably inaccurate because of how small my total viewership is, but I just thought it was amusing and reflective of my experience with women. But yeah, throughout my life, I have always struggled with talking to women or befriending them in any capacity. I wasn't socially ostracized. I had a stable friend group for most of my life, which did include some girls. But it didn't really matter in my situation because, in almost every instance, the girls who joined my larger friend group did so because they were either dating one of the other guys or were attracted to one of them. I know that analysis seems kind of short sighted and shallow looking back at it as an adult, but to me, that was just the reality of my social life during high school. And I tended to hang out on the periphery of my friend group as well. To give a comparison, if I ever managed to get invited to a party, I'd definitely be that guy in the corner who just stares at my phone's home screen or pretends to drink something the entire time. I think this behavior of apprehensive shyness is why I never had any female friends or any memorable conversations, because almost every opportunity had to be initiated by me. And I don't want that statement to come across as entitled. I'm not resenting women for not having this immense fascination or attraction to me. I have enough self awareness to understand that with the way I present myself externally and in conversation, I am just a boring and awkward person. So, my lack of confidence and unhealthy amount of self awareness caused me to never really approach women, and that was the only context in which I could have befriended them. This has always been a thing with me since I was young. Even before I was a teenager, I constantly overthought about how people perceived me. Nowadays, I have no idea what women my age are up to, and I can't really use social media as an objective reference because, at least for my feed, pretty much every piece of content I consume involving a woman is optimized for engagement towards a predominantly male audience, which in other words just means they're pandering towards men's needs, whether that be emotionally, sexually, or even ideologically. But that topic has been beaten into the ground, and basing my views on women through the lens of my personalized social media feed isn't going to yield many productive conclusions. So, to me, the essence of this video isn't to try and demean or judge women for not enjoying my content or trying to resonate with my experiences, but instead, I'm just trying to understand women. Though it kind of speaks volumes about my level of social aptitude that the best approach I can come up with is posting a video online. And since I've foreseen in my infinite wisdom that this probably isn't going to get the women of the internet to visit my channel in droves, I'll just continue to speculate on why any kind of female connection has eluded me. Besides the social aspect, which I've already mentioned I'm terrible at, people say the best way to meet others is through shared interests or beliefs. Though I wouldn't consider myself a traditionally masculine guy, most of the stuff I'm interested in happens to be male dominated. And being on the internet all the time has only worsened this tendency to seek out increasingly niche interests. And I won't get into them to avoid going off on a tangent, but the bottom line is I can't connect with women either through a shared interest or by directly approaching them. I don't want to pick up a female centric hobby just for the sake of being around women, because I feel that's kind of disingenuous. Plus, as I'm getting older, I'm starting to get set into my own ways when it comes to free time, which has generally discouraged me from picking up new hobbies in the first place. Also, I know this phenomenon isn't as serious as it is in real life, but over the internet, I see women trying to pander to male dominated spaces all the time, and compared to the inverse of that, women seem to be a lot more successful at garnering attention. For example, let's say a woman my age were to make the same content I do, obviously framed within her own experiences, but using the same aesthetic for the title, thumbnail, gameplay, etc., there's no doubt in my mind that it would gain exponentially more traction. Of course, a good amount of that attention would be hateful or critical of her presence in this niche, but it would be attention nonetheless. And I think a lot of men in a similar situation to me feel compelled to gatekeep their hobbies or spaces from anyone being performative, especially women since they feel alienated towards them. As for me, I think the whole process is tiring. Maybe that makes me the fake one, but I'm realizing the futility of prescribing importance to your identity online, despite my relatively active presence here. Alright, but to try and steer the video back to a somewhat coherent topic, I think what I'm saying is that it is understandable to get angry towards women for gaining more attention compared to men over the internet. Though realistically, any kind of argument towards this imbalance in social value is going to go down the same way it would in real life, with women just ignoring you. I mean, it's not the responsibility of women to rectify this. I just want to understand them better, but with my current situation, the chances of that happening are close to zero. I know this would go against every conversational norm, but I would just want to sit down with a woman my age and have a candid discussion about her worldview. The issue is that those kinds of conversations are reserved for people you've already established a relationship with, somebody that trusts you and is willing to divulge such personal information. And that experiential gap lies at the heart of my problem, where because I've always had this idealistic view of a relationship with women, not even dating, but just relating to them on any personal level, this has led me to subconsciously put them on a pedestal. I am grateful for the friendships I've had throughout my life, and while I can honestly tell you that my friends are far more interesting than I'll ever be, they all share the same demographic background, which is white men roughly the same age as me, and a lot of the stereotypes around male friendship are true in my case, where I don't feel very comfortable discussing emotional or personal topics with them. And I do acknowledge that's partially my own fault. Nothing is stopping me from broaching those topics, but even then, we've drifted apart for some time now, and given my shy and socially incompetent nature, I haven't gotten over that mental hurdle. Although I have a stronger social support system than most men my age, I can't help but feel this allure toward women as a way to fulfill my needs for companionship and deeper connection. But my perception has probably been severely distorted by consuming all this garbage on social media from performative women and the wider social discourse that is pitting men and women against each other across various ideological fronts. And making the criticism that I've fallen into that discourse is definitely valid. Although I make videos on my personal experiences, a lot of the stuff I discuss has a doomer slash male centric undertone, though I'd like to think I'm being more nuanced than just regurgitating the latest BP talking points. But to wrap this video up, at this stage in my life, it's becoming a lot harder to meet new people in general, and I will probably continue to wonder what it will be like to hang out and talk with women on a daily basis. I know how sad that sounds to a normal person, but I feel that the only feasible way to build a relationship with women in my case is through the internet. From my real life experience, I either never dared to even approach women, or the few times I did converse with them, it never really led anywhere beyond awkward small talk or forced politeness. I don't think I'll subject myself to online dating just yet. At this point, having a genuine female friend is good enough for me. Yeah, I'm sure there's more I could talk about, but I think I'll leave the video on that note, so goodbye for now.